How's it going, everybody? This is Kevin, and welcome to the week's news and this week featuring Kerbal Space Program. Before we get into the news, I'd like to give a quick shout out to my sister Allison. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Allison. And with that out of the way, let's get into the news, shall we? Our first bit of news is an international story. Militants in Afghanistan have set fire to about 400 fuel trucks. Now, normally I try not to share really depressing stories, but this one I found to be interesting. The Taliban have claimed responsibility for this attack, saying that the militants were targeting vehicles belonging to NATO forces, but here's the kicker. It doesn't seem that these vehicles were actually owned by NATO. Elsewhere in the article, there was talk of the drivers demanding reimbursement for their losses and blockading roads, which leads you to believe that the fuel trucks weren't actually NATO vehicles, that these were either independently owned or a company that owned them, that these people worked. And, you know, normally you're like, okay, yeah, well, that's not really that big a deal. But it is. It is for the Taliban. Allow me to explain. The Taliban is an organization that relies heavily on the good grace / fear / acceptance of the people. You know, the people in Afghanistan. If they're doing stuff like this, that's really going to get the people sort of angry at them. And now, it's one thing if, okay, the people are angry at you, but there's nothing you can really do about it. It's quite another when, NATO forces are still in the area. If my field truck was blown up by, a neighbor that I've, been keeping my mouth shut about, I might, even if I don't agree with NATO, I might, casually talk to some NATO forces, be like, hey, apartment 3B or whatever, take a look. And just on the part of the Taliban, it just doesn't seem like a well thought out attack, simply because it's hurting the people, not NATO. So yeah, it'll be interesting to sort of it'll be interesting to see how this sort of pans out, but in my opinion, not a good move for the Taliban. Obviously, very bad for all the people whose property got damaged and whatnot. But moving on to our domestic story, something that I'm kind of personally, well, not personally involved. This story resonates with me, let's say that. Florida is trying a new thing with Medicaid. They're offering Medicaid health plans designed exclusively for people with serious mental illnesses. They state, for example, schizophrenia, major depression, and bipolar. Now, first off, why does this resonate with me? As a teen, I suffered from major anxiety and social anxiety. Major depression and social anxiety. And no, major depression isn't the actual medical term. I was really depressed. But what I noticed from my experience and everybody I talked to, new friends, whatever, anybody else who's going through this, is that in this country at least, the common practice is, there's something wrong with you mentally. We're not exactly sure how to fix it. It's not like, you have a cold, this antibiotic will fix it. It's like, you're depressed and anxious, this could fix it or could not. So what the common practice is, let's put you on medicine A. 2 weeks later, Okay, how are you feeling? Not working? Okay, well, medicine A didn't work. Let's put you on medicine B without ever taking you off medicine A. I don't like this because no one knows what medicine A and what medicine B do together. And also, it'll just keep going on and on. Myself personally, I was on 5 different medications at one point. I felt like shit all the time. Honestly, looking back, I'm not sure how much of that was just I was depressed and anxious, or how much of it was just the medicines, doing whatever the hell they do. So, why is Florida having a health program designed specifically for people with serious mental illnesses going to help this problem that I found? Well, as with most things, people don't care unless money's coming out of their pocket. Or it directly affects them. Now, I had a serious mental illness. Well, yeah, I would say that. Or a serious mental condition, I'll say. So this is, I've found this to be a problem. But now that this is going to be a Medicaid program, this is going to be public, taxpayer dollars going towards treating these mental illnesses. I think this is a great thing because this is going to bring to the public eye these costs, and hopefully someone with a loud enough voice will stand up and be like, hey, why is everyone with depression on multiple medications? It's like, why has no one ever been taken off something when they try a new medicine? Hopefully that'll happen. I'm not sure if it will, but in any ways, I'll be keeping an eye out for, I bet in a month or two, because this just started July 1st, I bet in a month or two they will, they'll have sort of, the updated report, like, oh, this is what we found. So I'll keep an eye out for that. I'm interested. And our last story is, of course, our gaming-related story, this time concerning China and Oculus Rift. Now, any of you who have been keeping up with gaming news, you've probably stumbled across a story or two about China not having the best history with gaming. Oftentimes, censoring games, banning games, making it possible to play games online with players anywhere, oftentimes. But recently, this problem is not about the government of China. It's about individual people. Oculus Rift, the virtual reality headset, for those of you who do not know, the company Oculus Rift has said that they will stop selling their development kit in China. Now, right now, Oculus Rift is only available as a development kit. There's no technical consumer version of it released. What this means is that, yes, you can get it working for games that either support it or there have been mods of it. You can play games with it. But for the large part, Oculus Rift is not supported. It's a great technology, but it needs to be integrated more. Now, these development kits, they're not the full they're not the consumer version that Oculus would like to release. They are the development version, which means there's thousands of features that the average consumer wouldn't need, but a developer would. Now, why is this a problem that people are selling this like crazy in China? The problem is that Oculus Rift does not want your average consumer to have one of the development kits. That's not who it's intended for. It's intended for the developers, for people actually making games, for people who actually create something. So unfortunately, the solution, at least for now, is to suspend sales to China. Which it sucks if you are a developer in China who wants to create something, but at the same time, Oculus has said that they're going to look for other methods to getting development kits to actual developers, which is a good thing. Maybe maybe they'll have designated reseller locations that only sell to registered developers or whatnot. But for the meantime, it kind of sucks for developers in China. So yeah, that being said, that's about it. Yeah, I've used one of the Oculus Rift dev kits. My university has borrowed one, and I used it to play a game or two. It's pretty interesting. It's it's obviously a concept still, and if I was, powers to be an Oculus, I wouldn't want my average consumer to use it because it is a cool thing, but as it is right now, it's kind of like, I wouldn't buy it to play games. If I was in a serious position of making games, I would, but to play games, not yet. So that'll do it for me for today, guys. Thank you for watching and listening to my long-windedness. So I will see you guys next week, and have a wonderful night. Please keep playing this game.